What if your deepest healing never happened during your most conscious moments? What if the real transformation, the kind that reshapes your inner world, happens when everything becomes quiet, when no one's watching, and your mind starts to drift into the mystery of sleep? Here on Beyond the Realm, we explore those sacred spaces most people ignore, and according to Carl Jung, one of the most revered minds in psychological history, it's in the last 30 seconds before sleep that the veil between your soul and your ego thins. This twilight moment is not just poetic, it's a portal, a place where your conscious mind softens and your subconscious begins to rise to the surface. And in that vulnerable, unguarded space, there is something simple you can do that has the potential to change your life, not through effort or analysis, but through a single sentence spoken gently into the dark. I accept all of myself right now. Let that sink in. These aren't just comforting words. They are a symbolic key, an invitation to every part of you that's been rejected, wounded, or silenced. You're calling those parts home. On Beyond the Realm, we know healing doesn't speak the language of logic, and Carl Jung agreed. He believed the unconscious mind is not a quiet vault of forgotten memories, but a living symbolic world filled with emotion, myth, and ancient truths. So what happens when you speak to it in its own language? When you approach it with ritual, repetition, sincerity, and feeling, you start to rewrite the story you've unknowingly lived by. That's what this 7-word phrase does. It's not about fixing yourself. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about embracing the parts you've been taught to push away. It's about saying, yes, you too, you belong. Over time, this small nightly ritual softens the harsh voice of your inner critic. It quiets emotional chaos. It begins to rearrange the architecture of your self-identity, not around guilt or shame, but around a new foundation, acceptance. Carl Jung once said something timeless. You don't have to become someone else. You just have to stop rejecting yourself. This isn't self-help fluff. This is sacred psychological truth. And here, on Beyond the Realm, we honor that truth with reverence. Let me ask you something. What are the final words you say to yourself before sleep? For most, it's a scroll through social media, a mind cluttered with anxiety, regret, or just numb distraction. But what if that moment was never meant to be wasted? Carl Jung stated, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That's not just poetic, it's prophetic. This moment right before sleep, this delicate threshold, is what Jung referred to as a liminal space. Your ego dissolves, your breath slows, and your internal gates swing wide open. The unconscious listens in this moment. It absorbs, it reshapes, and whether you whisper, "I am not good enough," or "I am whole," the psyche receives it as truth. It begins to organize itself around the message it hears. That's why on Beyond the Realm, we treat this moment not as an afterthought, but as a sacred ritual. Because the psyche isn't asleep, it's working, it's transforming, and the words you feed it matter. Here's something we forget in our everyday lives. The unconscious mind does not argue with you. It doesn't challenge your self-talk. It doesn't fact-check your beliefs. If you whisper, "I am unworthy," it reshapes your inner world to match. But if you whisper, "I am enough," something extraordinary happens. It begins to shift. Your psyche listens, and it starts a quiet revolution from the inside out. At Beyond the Realm, we explore these hidden truths not as mystical speculation, but as deep psychological reality. Jung taught that the unconscious communicates in symbols, not syllables, in images, not grammar, in emotion, not explanation. So those last words before sleep, spoken not casually but intentionally, are psychic tools. They activate archetypes. They signal to your soul that a new story is ready to be written. And it starts with the 7 words we'll now explore together, word by word. Let's slow it down. Each word in this phrase, "I accept all of myself right now," holds profound psychological and spiritual weight. They are not random, they are ritual. Here's how they unfold. I. This is your root, your claim of responsibility. You are not casting blame or running from truth. You are standing in your own presence. The unconscious hears this word and knows this message is personal. Accept. This is not weakness. This is courage. To accept is to face the things you've spent years avoiding, your rage, your shame, your grief. You're saying, I will not turn away. All, perhaps the most radical word, not just the polished parts, not just the lovable, but everything. Jung taught that true healing integrates opposites, the light and the dark, the noble and the wounded. A quiet but powerful symbol of ownership. This is your emotional landscape. Your grief, your joy, your instincts. You are no longer projecting, you are claiming. Myself, not just your ego, your whole self, the deeper center, the silent witness, the archetype of the soul. When you say myself, you're reaching the mythic parts of you, long buried, long waiting. Right. This word collapses time. Healing isn't tomorrow. It's not someday. It's now. It's this breath, this exact moment. Now. The seal. The sacred threshold. The present is the only portal the unconscious truly responds to. Now ends the war. Now begins the return. Here at Beyond the Realm, we believe every word you speak before sleep is a spell cast into the realm of your deeper self. Say them with reverence. What if I told you your shadow has been waiting for you, not to scare you, not to sabotage your life, but to finally be seen? Carl Jung described the shadow as the parts of ourselves we reject, fears, failures, suppressed desires. But he also taught that within the shadow lies gold, your gifts, your strength, your truest emotions. And few moments are as powerful for reuniting with the shadow as the one just before sleep. When you whisper, I accept all of myself right now, you extend a sacred invitation, not a command, not a fix, a simple, honest welcome. At Beyond the Realm, we do not believe in bypassing pain or sugarcoating transformation. We believe in standing in the truth of who we are, even the parts we've been taught to exile. Because when those parts finally feel safe, they come home, and they speak. In dreams, in clarity, in a calmness you haven't felt in years. Let's talk about your dreams. Jung didn't see them as nonsense or random noise. He called them symbolic communications from the soul. Dreams reflect the actual state of your unconscious, often showing you what you're not ready to admit in waking life. If you resist yourself before bed, your dreams may turn to chaos, chasing, falling, panic. But if you enter sleep in acceptance, a new story begins to emerge. You might see a lost child, finally found, a locked room, slowly opening, a dark figure, stepping into the light. These symbols aren't just interesting. They are sacred. They are proof that healing is happening. At Beyond the Realm, we see every dream as a message. And the most powerful dreams often begin with a whisper. I accept all of myself right now. Carl Jung taught that every one of us lives out a story, a myth scripted not by logic, but by the unconscious. We mistake it for fate, but it's not. It's programming, made of wounds, fears, and silences we never resolved. But myths can be rewritten, and not through therapy alone, not through endless self-help books, but through consistent symbolic ritual. Every night you speak those 7 words, you interrupt the old story. You reclaim authorship. You say, I am not broken, I am not too much, I am whole. This is how the myth begins to change, not loudly, but deeply. And at Beyond the Realm, we're here to guide you through that quiet revolution. Let's ground this in real experience. Carl Jung worked with people from all walks of life, artists, mothers, soldiers, scholars. They didn't all heal through analysis. Many found change through ritual. One man whispered, I allow myself to feel what is inside me. At first it felt silly, but soon his nightmares of drowning turned into dreams of rebirth. A woman whispered, I accept the part of me that is afraid. Her dreams shifted. Her shadow didn't chase her anymore. It cried and embraced her. A teenage boy whispered, I am allowed to be soft. His panic attacks disappeared. These are not miracles. These are invitations spoken in the sacred language of the psyche, the language of symbol, sincerity, and repetition. And here at Beyond the Realm, we call this what it is: soul work. So how do you begin? Start by honoring the moment. Set aside 2 to 5 minutes before bed. Turn off the lights, shut out the noise, enter stillness. You are not just going to sleep. You are stepping into a sacred doorway. Then speak slowly. I accept all of myself right now. Let each word drop into your body like a stone in water. If any word feels uncomfortable, pause. That resistance is your shadow showing itself. Don't run. Stay present. Want to personalize the ritual? You can. Try. I allow myself to feel everything tonight. I forgive the parts I once feared. I welcome home what I rejected. Add a physical gesture. Place your hand on your heart, rest it on your belly, lie down with intention. Over time, your body will associate this position with safety and peace. Keep a dream journal. Write down what you see. Look for symbols, patterns, hidden parts of yourself surfacing, and trust the process. You may not feel anything the first night, but over time, your soul will begin to believe it's safe to come home. This is where it all leads, not to perfection, but to wholeness. Jung said the goal of psychotherapy isn't happiness, it's integration. It's peace between the parts of you that once fought. When you say, I accept all of myself right now, you plant a seed. It doesn't bloom overnight, but it grows. And one day you'll notice, you pause before reacting. You speak more gently to yourself. You don't run from sadness anymore. You allow joy to land without guilt. That's not random. That's what wholeness feels like. And the more you practice, the more that wholeness shapes your outer life. You attract honesty because you've stopped lying to your own emotions. You don't chase love because you've stopped abandoning yourself. At Beyond the Realm, we call this the return. The moment your soul begins to trust you again. So tonight, before you drift off, don't let fear be the last thing you feel. Don't let distraction be your final offering. Instead, speak with reverence. Whisper with presence. I accept all of myself right now. And as the unconscious listens, your soul remembers. This is what home feels like. If this message stirred something within you, if even one word mirrored your inner truth, share your voice in the comments. You never know who might be walking through the darkness, searching for that one light. And if someone you love believes they must shrink to be loved, share this with them. Remind them, real love does not demand sacrifice of the soul. The most sacred union is the one you form with yourself. This is Beyond the Realm, where every whisper has meaning and every night is an invitation back to wholeness.